afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. I am Tessa from the Development Academy of the Philippines, your host for today. Welcome to the Public Sector Productivity Webinars organized by the Center of Excellence on Public Sector Productivity, or COE-PSP of the DAP. The DAP, as the focal organization of the Asian Productivity Organization, or APO, will be hosting a new episode for its PSP Webinars 2023. This month's webinar is entitled Elevating Public Sector Productivity from Awareness to Action. Through this webinar, we aim to enhance awareness and stimulate discussion on the importance of public sector productivity and its current situation in the Philippines. We will also launch the Productivity Challenge, which will be an annual crowdsourcing of ideas and action-oriented mechanisms that can help enhance productivity in the Philippine public sector. This webinar will be broadcasted live today, the 28th of February 2023. We would like to acknowledge our viewers watching live. First, from the YouTube, we have from Anti-Terrorism Council, Office of the President, Department of Science and Technology Region 2, Department of Justice, Abra State University Institute of Sciences and Technology. We also have viewers from Northern Iloilo State University Region 6 and City Assessor's Office of Baguio. From Facebook, magandang hapon po sa mga taga City Assessor's Office. From the Department of Agriculture, Philippine Council for Agriculture and Fisheries. And we also have viewers from the Philippine Center for Post-Harvest Development and Mechanization, and also from the Manila International Airport Authority. We have a lot of viewers from various agencies all over the Philippines, so apologies if I failed to mention yours, but we hope you're having a great Tuesday afternoon. Before we proceed, we would like to remind our participants that in order to get an e-certificate of attendance, you should accomplish the session and course evaluation form. The evaluation link will be given towards the end of this webinar. For your questions, please feel free to write it at the comment section of Facebook or at the live chat section for our YouTube audience. We will try to answer your questions live later at the end of the session. Now, please allow me to introduce our presenter for this webinar. Our resource person this afternoon is a fellow to the DAP Center of Excellence on Public Sector Productivity Program. Often known as Ms. Ochi, she provides technical guidance in the implementation of capability building, research, advocacy, and promotion projects of the COE-PSP. She was formerly with the DAP Productivity and Development Center and was a program manager of the Service Quality Division. In 2008, she left DAP and joined the private sector as a market researcher where she conducted market studies for local and multinational manufacturing firms, providing them data, analysis, and recommendations to boost sales and profit. And in 2012, she rejoined DAP through the Center for Governance. As a Bachelor of Science Statistics undergraduate from the University of the Philippines and with a master's degree in development economics, also from UP, she advocates the use of data and empirical evidence to support management from the public sector in making policy decisions and programs to improve public sector productivity. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very proud to introduce this afternoon's resource person, Ms. Maria Rosario Ablan.
Okay, good afternoon po. Thank you, Tessa. I'm Ochi Ablan. I'm from the DAP Center for Governance. So this afternoon, my presentation, as mentioned, is about productivity in the public sector. So let me share with you yung aking outline for my presentation. First, I will be discussing some basic concepts of productivity. And then I will talk about common issues on productivity, yung mga kinds of waste. And last, I will be telling you the importance of productivity in the public sector with some examples of successful implementation of productivity initiatives, both locally and international. So I mentioned to the organizing team na gusto ko kwentuhan lang tayo dito sa session ko. So it wouldn't be like parang stiff. Anyway, so since kwento, I'd like to share with you yung aking parang story, the story of my productivity journey. When I graduated years ago, many years ago, from college, syempre, I wanted to join the workforce right away. So I was able to get a job in a company in Makati, and then we lived in Rizal. So every day I had to commute from Rizal to Makati, and I go to my work. And then paggabi, in the evening, I go home late. And my parents were always worried about me na parang, why do I have to stay late in the office? Why do I have to always work overtime? So I told them at that time na I had to stay late, I had to work overtime because I haven't finished yung mga outputs or yung mga things that were assigned to me by my boss. So feeling ng parents ko at that time was, wow, ang sipag-sipag naman ng anak ko. She's always working. She's always rendering overtime. And at that time nga, feeling ko, wow, ang galing ko talaga. Productive ako kasi parati akong trabaho ng trabaho. But little did I know na dun sa concept nga ng productivity, yung, if you will look at it, the concept of productivity, it's really the volume of output over the volume of inputs. So, dahil nga I had to produce the outputs that were required for me, so namimit ko siya, but then yung time and effort, instead of 8 hours, I had to extend my time. So, yung feeling ko nung time na yun na productive ako, because I felt nga na nade-deliver ko naman yung required sa akin. Nagtatrabaho ko most of the time. Nagtatrabaho ko even Saturdays I go to work. Diba? So, if you look at what is productivity, productivity is really the measure of how you are able to efficiently produce yung outputs given the inputs such as labor, capital, parang dun sa level of output na required sa'yo. So, that was my start, yung aking parang experience working. But then, so that was my life for the next 2 years. So, kung titingnan natin, yun nga, yung mga resources na ginagamit ko, which are the capital, labor, energy, materials, and then I do my work. So, yung processes na ginagawa ko, ways and means in order to produce or converting the inputs into the desired outputs that is expected from me. And then, ang aim ko talaga is really to produce these services that are demanded from me by my customer, which is at that time my boss. Okay. Yung boss ko noon, napaka demanding. Okay. But yung usual, if I would like to give this story para lang maintindihan natin yung pag-convert nga ng inputs at saka pag-convert ng mga inputs to the certain output, let's look at the story of this magtataho, okay? So yung mga magtataho, ang output niya is really yung taho cups, di ba? So yun ang expected sa isang magtataho. In order to produce yung outputs niya, kailangan niya ng mga resources. So yung mga materials na ginagamit niya, yung ingredients niya, yung soybeans, yung hours spent to convert the soybeans, lulutuin pa niya, di ba? So, that is the production process normally. And in the office, sa atin, sa mga offices natin, ganito yung mga normal way of doing the way we do our work, di ba? So, we produce yung mga outputs expected from us, but we use resources and convert them into the outputs, okay? So, actually, yun nga yung productivity. It's a amount of output nga that you produce based on the resources that you use. But little did I know na hindi lang dapat ganun lang yung concept ng iisipin ko sa work ko. So I worked dun sa first job ko, I worked there for 2 years. Since nung time na yung wala pang MRT. So nagbabus lang ako. Kung familiar kayo dun sa love bus, may love bus pa nung time na yun. So from traveling from Rizal to Makati was really tiring. So, napadpad ako dito sa Ortigas. So I was able to get a job dito sa DAP. And dito sa DAP, dito ako na-introduce dun sa productivity concepts, okay? So the 3 productivity concepts, we have the technical concept, the social concept, and the management concept, okay? This is where I started my productivity journey. So, yung first technical concept ng productivity, like I'm a math major, so this is something that is very interesting to me kasi ratio and proportion siya, di ba? So, productivity, it's just the ratio of output over input. Okay? Yan, naintindihan ko yung concept ng productivity, yung technical concept ng productivity. Ngayon, yung output over input na to, sa concept na technical concept ng productivity, pwede pa yan broke down or mahimay-himay into different kinds of partial productivity depending on the kind of input that you have. So yung mga different, yung total output over total input, that's what we call total productivity. Ngayon yung partial productivity, yung total output mo, i-divide mo siya dun sa partial input. So ano bang mga klase ng input? So we have here yung CLEMS. First time ko rin na encounter yung CLEMS na yan. Ano ba yung CLEMS? So CLEMS means capital, labor, energy, materials, and the services that you use to produce nga the output. So pwede yan maging total output over capital. We call that capital productivity. Total output over the labor input, so you call that labor productivity. Total output over energy, you call that energy productivity. Total output over the materials used, that's what you call materials productivity. And then the external services that you use to produce the output, yung tawag naman doon ay what you call services productivity. So yan yung mga iba-ibang klase ng what we can already say productivity measures that we will be using. So yan yung technical concept ng productivity. Now, meron pang isa pa. This one, the social concept of productivity. This, when I heard about this saying ng social concept, medyo na-touch ako dito kasi ito yung hindi ko na-realize before when I was working my first job. Okay, the social concept of productivity is above all, it's really an attitude of the mind. And it seeks to continuously improve what already exists. It is based in the conviction that one can do things better today than yesterday and better tomorrow than today for a better quality of life. So, every day, in my first job nga, I always go to work. And then, ang inisip ko lang, okay, produce the output, okay. But, had I known na meron pala tong gantong tinatawag na social concept, maybe naisip ko na parang, how can I do things better para hindi na ako parating nag-overtime? How can I do things better para yung aking Sabado na parati kong pumapasok and nafi-free up na lang para may time ako para sa family ko? So these are the things na parang naglalaro sa mind ko when I already started here working in DAP, and then na-realize ko nga tong social concept ng productivity. And at that time din, yung aming presidente nung nandito ako sa DAP, sabi niya, I love what you do in your department. Because I was in the Productivity and Development Center. Sabi niya, I love what you do in the Productivity and Development Center because you always think of new things to improve. So, yun nga, yung social concept ng productivity is kung kahapon ginagawa mo ganito, so you think of better ways to do things better today than yesterday, and then tomorrow, mag-isip ka na naman ng paano magiging may improve yung ginagawa mo as compared to yesterday, di ba? So, yun yung parang naglaro sa mind ko ng, so doon ako nag-start magkaroon ng passion sa productivity. Okay? Now, the third one naman, this is the management concept of productivity. I realized this later on when I was already continuing working with DAP. So the management concept of productivity, it says here that productivity improvement does not happen as an accident. It's really a managed process. So parang talagang may parang kinokontrol, tinitignan, minamanage yan. Hindi lang yan nangyayari ng parang pabayaan mo lang yung mga workers mo, pabayaan mo lang yung sistema mo, magwo-work yan, magiging productive na sila. So management concept of productivity is not an accident because it's a managed process. And then, a productive organization simply puts one that is efficient in converting the inputs to outputs, and effective in fulfilling its mission of satisfying expectations of customers and other stakeholders. Wow, big words yun, di ba? Okay, so tingnan na lang natin yung diagram, okay? So, kanina yung pinakita ko, yung magtataho, yung input, yung mga resources niya, kinonvert niya dun sa processes niya para maging goods and services. Same thing with me as a worker sa isang office. I use the resources and I do my work in order to produce yung outputs na expected sa akin ng aking boss. So that part of this equation of this diagram is what you call efficiency. So how you're able to efficiently convert yung mga inputs or resources to the goods and services that is expected from you. But effectiveness this time looks into yung napoproduce mo bang goods and services that is expected from you matches the expectations of the customers. So are they based on the standards na nire-require? Kung sinabi ba sa'yo na dapat ang report mo ay ganito yung laman, so namimit ba? So yung pag-meet ng outputs mo dun sa expectations ng customers or yung mga nangangailangan ng goods and services mo, that is what we call effectiveness. Now, if we link both efficiency and effectiveness together, that's what we call productivity. And then yun nga, yung management concept ng productivity, hindi yan nangyayari ng accident. Dapat yan, minamanage talaga siya. Now, there are different tools and techniques. This concept, medyo hindi ko siya naintindihan kaagad. Naintindihan ko siya as I continuously did my work, as in I was continuously exposed to the things in the how an organization operates. So sa Center of Excellence in Public Sector Productivity, this is what we share with our clients. Paano i-meet tong management concept ng productivity? Ano yung mga tools and techniques para kailangan gamitin ng isang organization para maging efficient and effective? Paano sila maging productive? So, maybe sa mga susunod namin mga webinars, there will be some topics related to other concepts of productivity, particularly on the management concept of productivity. Okay? So, yon. So, marami na akong nakwento. Since yung topic nga namin is elevating public sector productivity from awareness to action. So, I hope that by the end of my presentation, medyo nagkaroon kayo ng new insights dun sa productivity or at least yung mga alam nyo na dati na reinforce ko lang yung inyong mga knowledge on productivity. Okay? So, now, let's go on the common productivity issues. So, syempre, when you do your work, when we do our organization, parati yung may mga nangyayaring parang issues or concerns that hinders productivity. So, what we would like to share lang to you here is some examples ng waste, okay? Ito yung pinili namin na paipapakita sa inyo. These are the three moose. Yung moose na yan, those are Japanese words, okay? So, kung familiar kayo sa lean management, kung familiar kayo sa Toyota Productivity Production System, yung TPS na tinatawag, ito yon yung ginagamit nila, yung tatlong moose. So, there's this guy from Japan, his name is Taichi Ono. Nilagay ko dito yung link sa Wikipedia kung gusto nyong i-research siya or kung tingnan nyo something about him. Anyway, this Japanese guy, I think he was around 1950s or 60s or 70s, ganyan. He introduced these three concepts ng moose. So ano ba tong moose na to? Yung first mu, muda. Muda means waste. The second mu is mura or unevenness. And then the third mu is muri or overburden. Okay? So let's discuss itong tatlong moose na to. Si muda, si mura, at si muri. Okay? Hindi siya tao pero mga words lang yan. Okay, what is muda? Muda is actually an activity that consumes resources but does not value to the customer. So, waste yan. Ayaw natin kay muda. Muda increases organizational costs and lead times while also increasing the possibility of errors. So, that is one that we should eliminate. We need to eliminate muda. Next, mura. Hindi yan yung mura na cheap. Mura is a Japanese word. It means the pace of work is erratic. It's rushed, sometimes nagsuslow down, or sometimes nagsistop. So, kung familiar nga kayo, kasi nga Toyota production system, di ba? So, yung mga machines nila, hindi maganda sa mga machines yung paiba-iba o erratic yung nangyayari sa mga machines. So Mura brings about variations or inconsistencies due to some form of imbalance and can be attributed to poor planning and unbalanced workload. So Mura is unevenness. That's another kind of waste that we do not like. So tanggalin din si Mura. The third one is Muri. Muri is when people or machines are utilized beyond capacity in an unsustainable way. So, Muri, na wrong spelling. Muri brings about unnecessary stress or burden on people, material, or equipment. Okay? So, Muri is also another kind of waste that we do not want to have. Okay? So, ang ko-concentrate lang natin dito sa ating discussion will be si Muda. Tsaka na natin pag-usapan si Mura at tsaka si Muri. Okay? Doon lang tayo kay Muda. So there are 8 kinds, galing din to kay Taiichi Ono. So kay Taiichi Ono, sa Muda kind of waste, there are 8 kinds na kailangan din natin ma-eliminate. So we have defects, overproduction, waiting, non-utilized talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and extra processing. So I will be discussing in detail itong 8 waste ni Muda na kailangan nating tanggalin. So, defects. Defects is any non-conformance requiring rework, review, retest, or work that contains errors or is lacking information and results in reworks and delay. So, going back dun sa story ko, dun sa aking first job, alam niyo ba yung aking first job, nakaubos ako ng isang rim dahil lang sa pagpiprint ng report ko. Dahil sa takot ko sa boss ko, tinago ko yung 1 rim na yon na waste. So that's kind of defects. So para na lang, rework na lang nangyayari. So examples of defects in an organization will be, yun nga, yung revising ng mga documents, yung mga concept paper, reports, or financial plan na pagka-submit, oops, may error, number 1, number 2, number 3. So, again, i-rework mo siya, gagawin mo ulit siya. Or sometimes, another kind of defect is if incorrect or incomplete yung data na ginamit mo sa reports. Hindi ba maganda kapag hindi maganda kapag yung report mo is based on wrong data. Kasi pag wrong data yung ginamit mo sa report mo, for sure, wrong report. So ang mangyayari, uulitin mo na naman yung report mo kasi wrong data nga yung ginamit mo. And then another example of defect is when you use outdated database of directories used for writing business letters. How many of you have experienced na nakatanggap kayo ng letter addressed to the head of your agency, tapos yung title ng pangalan na nakalagay dun sa letter, yung secretary nung mga ilang years ago pa? Diba? May mga ganon. So, sometimes, pag there are some organizations na hindi na-update yung kanilang directory or na-update pero hindi na gagamit yung tamang directory. So, yun. Delikado yun pag nakarating pa dun sa labas ng organization, diba? So, these are kinds of examples of defects that we experience in our organization. Next, overproduction. So, ito, mahilig din to sa government. Providing more services than required or requested by the customer or the client or can be handled in the process. So, doing more than needed. So, for example, magsasubmit kayo ng report sa isang oversight agency. So, draft mo yung report, lalagay mo, tapos, teka muna, lagay natin ng Annex A, Annex B, Annex C, Annex D, E, F, G. So, ganyan kalaki na yung report na isasubmit nyo sa agency. But, ang kailangan lang talaga ng agency is this small. So, why did you make that different reports? Kasi, baka kailangan. Or, kasi baka supporting documents, di ba? So, those are examples ng parang overproduction. In-anticipate mo na kailangan, pero pagdating doon, di naman pala kailangan. Or, another example of overproduction is performing extra unnecessary or unrequested work. And then repeat consolidation of data or existing reports for a regularly held meeting or planning. So, di ba, quarterly, sometimes you submit reports to oversight agencies. So, nasubmit mo na siya. Mamaya lang konti, may tatawag sa'yo. Can you please submit your report for ganyang-ganyang quarter? Nasubmit mo na lang, di ba? Hindi kasi tinignan yung report na sinubmit, so gagawa ka na naman ng bagong report para mag-submit. So, those are kinds of overproduction. So, parang na-produce mo na, gumawa ka ulit. Another one is numerous or unconsolidated and unshared directory used for business letters. I think this was mentioned already a while ago. Then, providing more information or doing unnecessary tasks for clients or customers. Creation of similar forms, like in data gathering, di ba, sa mga agencies. Please submit your name, your address, your telephone number, your date of birth, etc. And then another form, it also has the same requirements. Your name, your address, your telephone number, and then, so parang paulit-ulit na lang, same kind of information naman ang hinihingi. And then another one is prolonged and frequent staff meeting. This is a kind of overproduction. Sana yung mga meetings natin, mas maganda kapag very straight to the point and then clear kung ano yung mga information or parang discussion points na kailangan para yung time spent na hindi naman nagamit, parang you have more time to do other works other than just attending that meeting. Okay? Next kind of waste is waiting. Ito, marami tong klaseng waiting. Waiting for a decision, instructions, information, approval, signature, etc. So, di ba sa ARTA meron silang sinasabi na 3, 7, 20 para dun sa processing. So, sometimes that 3 days na para for simple transactions, sa totoo lang pwede naman natin pa-reduce yun eh. Kaso nga lang, naging 3 days kasi nag-allot tayo ng time for waiting para mapirmahan, ganun. So, that's an example, waiting time. So, another one is waiting for revisions, di ba? So, when you submit your report, kailangan i-reviewin ng iyong superior, pero hihintayin mo pa bago niya ma-review. Another one is waiting for suppliers to arrive. So, when you do yung mga work ninyo, wala pa si supplier na traffic kasi. So, yun, yung mga waiting time na yun. Waiting for another process to finish, lalo na yung mga processes or yung mga services na multi-process, di ba? So, pumunta kay Department A, Department B, Department C. So, in the process ng paglilipat-lipat ng mga documents or yung mga requirements na yon, hinihintay mo na maayos muna ng department bago makarating sa'yo. So, that's kind of waste na nangyayari sa time. Waiting for a colleague or a staff to submit their report. Waiting for meetings to begin and end. So, yun nga, mas maganda if we start our meeting on time and end it also on time. Kasi sayang din yung time na naghihintayan pa. Waiting for shared equipment to become available. Equipments or systems nag-breakdown. So, pag nag-breakdown yung isang equipment, hindi magamit, so lahat ng mga tao, waiting hanggang sa ma-repair yung equipment para magawa mo yung process mo. Or yung manual processes instead of digitalized processes. Right now, di ba, we are already trying to improve or change our processes from manual to digitalized processes. Waiting for payouts and check, or delayed document processing due to unclear instructions. So these are all examples of waste ng waiting. Okay. Next, unutilized talent. So failing to use people's talents, skills, and knowledge of the workforce, or not listening to people, using their knowledge, or learning from past mistakes. So, example ko within our unit, di ba? So kami, hindi naman kami masyadong artistic, di ba? So parang may mga taong may eye for being an artistic. So, nangyayari, imbis na taking time para aralin kung paano gumamit ng Canva, taking time para isipin kung paano i-fix or parang i-put yung mga certain objects sa isang parang gusto naming i-design na IEC material, sabi ko, why don't we just ask our people from our communications who are experts in preparing IEC materials para hindi na tayo magkaroon ng oras para mag-isip kung paano pa mag-prepare ng mga ganyang klaseng materials. So, examples of non-utilized talents is there's no opportunity to learn new skills or utilize existing talents, or sometimes the people are not involved in the process improvement or problem solving, or the time spent correcting errors or responding to most immediate concerns and emergencies, medyo na kukulangan o nandun lang napupunta. Narrowly or generically defined jobs and expectations, hindi clear kasi kung ano yung expectation sa kanila. Mismatch work functions and skill sets, or non-recognition of skills and talents of employees on technical or artistic decisions. So this is another example of sources of waste, yung non-utilized talent. Okay. And then we have yung transportation. So this one is about unnecessary movement of files, materials, data, information, or people. Kung sa manufacturing sector, very critical to. Like for example, yung mga semento, di ba, na mga truck. So dinadaan pa yan sa mga highway, tapos sa highway meron truck ban. So yung pagta-transport na yon, meron yun mga parang sayang, parang waste na pwedeng mangyari pa doon. So the route, kung titingnan natin sa isang office or agency, yung pagta-transport ng data, yung route a report or file makes to go through all officials down the chain. So parang dadaan pa sa kadami-daming mga officials, yung mga dokumento natin bago natin ma-say na okay, it's approved. Or traveling from counter to counter, lalo na kunyari yung mga dati, mga punta ka sa window 1, then pipila ka ulit kay window 2, window 3. So that's kind of waste. Double or triple handing. Example ko dito yung sa mga banks, di ba? Pag mag-deposit ka, bibigay mo yung pera mo. So ikaw, bibilangin mo na siya, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tapos bibigay mo sa teller. Tapos si teller, bibilangin niya, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tapos ilalagay pa niya dun sa counting machine niya, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tapos pagkuha niya, kukunin niya ulit, bibilangin naman. So parang, hey, double-double na yung pagka-count natin na. Same pa rin yan, hindi yan magiging 10,000 kung 5,000 lang din i-deposit ko. And then another example is excessive repetitive report or file routing for approval, revisions, signings, etc. Similar yun dun sa data transport routing. Or retrieving or storing documents. Lalo na kapag yung mga offices na maraming documents or records na tinatago, pag yung mga records or documents are not properly kept in place, so yung pagre-retrieve nun, transportation waste na yung nangyayari dun. Or sending a document for wet signature to an official's executive's house. So, di ba nung time ng pandemic, di ba? But still, required pa rin tayo dun sa mga hard copies na kailangan wet signature. So, tinatransport pa natin siya sa mga officials para mapirmahan. And then, dun sa procurement, double process such as contract and bidding. So, may mga sometimes transportation waste sa mga ganon. And then, delivery of materials or files that can be picked up by the receiver. So, kailangan, pwede ko naman pick upin, pero hindi, wait, kailangan meron official na nagre-receive niyan. Hindi pwedeng sino-sino lang ang mag-receive ng mga documents. Okay? So, meron mga waste dito sa transportation. Okay. Next is inventory, wherein excessive stock of supplies or materials, work in process, and completed outputs. Sa manufacturing din, ano rin to, parang source of waste to. Before, in my early years in DAP, meron kaming project assistant na natatakot siya na baka daw out of stock yung mga supplies. So, nagsa-stock up siya ng kadami-daming mga ring binder, kasi mga trainings namin, di ba? Nagsa-stock up siya ng maraming ring binder, nagsa-stock up siya ng mga printer. But then, pagdating ng end of the year, dumami na. Wala na kaming parang space para paglagyan yung mga equipment na yon. So, sayang minsan na dahil nga na-stock up na siya, na luma na siya, inamag na siya, hindi namin siya nagamit. So, examples of waste in inventory are the stock shelves for unused office supplies and materials, stocks of promotional literature or pre-printed forms. Di ba yung mga brochures na pinapaprint natin ng more than adequate na kailangan pero hindi naman natin nagamit. Inventory of never been used office equipment, excess files or publications, excess storage space, obsolete database, files and folders, emails waiting to be read, files waiting to be worked on, and unnecessary hard copies being stored. So these are, again, examples of inventory waste. And I think this is the last one, yung motion. Motion are unnecessary movement of people, like searching, walking, stocking, or filing, or movement to transfer or found information data. So, actually, minsan, yung mga kung saan naka-locate ang iyong desk could be a source of waste. Kasi, kunyari, yung printer ay nandun pa, tapos ikaw nandito, so you need to stand up and then go and then walk back. So, yung parang bending. So, kung sa mga manufacturing companies nga or sometimes even sa yung mga tight spaces, di ba? So, yung meron tinatawag dyan na ergonomics na tinitignan nila, what is the most appropriate way para i-layout natin yung office para there will be unnecessary movements or motion within the office para hindi sayang ba na tayo ka na lang ng tayo, di ba? Tapos, another example is searching for files, documents, and supplies. Pag hindi nga siya nakaayos ng pagkakalagay, so parati kang search ng search. So, unnecessary motion ang nangyayari or unnecessary movement. Searching for information in the internet, intranet, or shared folders, handling paperwork, or unnecessary and excessive face-to-face meetings. So again, these are kinds of motion waste na pwede nating tingnan kung ano yung pwede nating ma-eliminate sa ating operations or sa ating process. Okay. Meron pa palang last one, extra processing or duplicate or redundant operations, performing wasteful steps that are not required. Often because that's how we do things Ang dati na namin ginagawa yan So, hindi na natin kailangang palitan, di ba? So, maraming mga ganon na para bang biglang naipapag-isip ka na lang, teka nga muna, why do we need that unnecessary step? Why do we need to have it reviewed again? And na-review na siya. Tapos, baka naman kasi, kahit sabihin na, that's how we do things. That's how it has been ever since. Maybe it's about time, maybe we can reconsider or look, ano yung mga reasons or parang baka pwede na natin siyang ma-eliminate. So, examples of extra processing is unnecessary additional paperwork process steps, excessive reporting. Yung bang report na yun, kailangan ba talaga yung report o baka pwede na lang hindi na at dahil pwede naman natin makuha yung information ng report na yun sa iba. Or excessive and redundant reviews, approvals, sign-offs or overchecking, or again, redundant data entry or database. Di ba yung na-mention ko kanina, yung name, address, signature, tapos meron na palang name, address, and signature. So, these are things that we can try maybe na baka pwede naman natin siyang ma-eliminate sa ating processes. Okay. So, na yun, share ko na yung mga different kinds of waste that we somehow we may experience in our organization, which we may consider we would want to eliminate or reduce sa ating mga operations. Why do we need to do it? Okay? Because nga, babalik na naman ako dun sa concept ng productivity. Kasi when you eliminate waste, then you will be able to increase the kind of output and also utilize lesser inputs to produce yung volume of output na yun. So why is it important for the public sector to improve productivity? So kung titingnan natin yung productivity chain, di ba? Kung low this is looking at macro or broad or national view to see why productivity is important. If low ang productivity, sabihin natin ng Philippines, di ba? Okay, ng country, the national level, low productivity. This is because we have wasteful use of resources. And then our products and services or even our products are inferior as compared to market competition and then results to economic slowdown and may lead to social instability. As compared to having high productivity. If the productivity at the national level is high, then that means we are able to have efficient and effective economical use of our resources. So again, our goods or products and services are superior as compared sa market competition, leading to economic development and growth, and as a whole, better standard of living and human welfare. Okay? So I hope na-convince ko kayo na kailangan natin i-improve ang productivity sa public sector. Now, I would like to show here some initiatives na na-implement both globally and locally ng mga public sector organizations to improve productivity. So first here we have yung sa Penang State Government in Malaysia. So they use yung facial recognition technology para mag-prevent ng crimes. So sa Penang State sa Malaysia, highly urbanized na kasi sila. So ang challenge nila doon yung traffic, waste management, at crime. So kailangan nila ng new solutions para ma-ensure yung sustainable growth sa Penang. What did they do? So di ba familiar kayo yung mga terms na smart city? Smart cities using technologies, di ba, para i-run yung kanilang mga cities nila. So Penang is already starting doing this. So nag-install sila or nag-upgrade sila ng kanilang mga CCTV. Meron silang control center. Tapos meron silang nakipag-partner sila sa isang sa IBM para dun sa Intelligence Operations Center nila para magkaroon ng facial recognition dun sa mga tao na pumapasok or lumalabas sa kanilang Penang State. Okay? So dahil doon, they were able to reduce yung dahil may mga camera, tapos pag na-zoom in na nila, nare-recognize nila if this person is somebody that is wanted by the state. So with that, they were able to ease yung law enforcement. Another one sa Hong Kong naman, di ba? Hong Kong, highly urbanized na sila. So talagang yung mga buildings doon, yung mga residential areas nila, talagang mga multi-level na yun, di ba? So ang challenge naman sa Hong Kong lands development is paano nila malalaman yung mga buildings ba ay kailangan ng i-renew or kailangan ng i-due na siyang parang kailangan na siyang tanggalin kasi di ba, after some years kailangan baguhin na nila yung mga buildings. So paano nila malalaman or paano nila monitor if yung mga buildings na yon ay kailangan na or due na for demolition or kailangan nang i-renew. So gumamit sila ng vehicle mobile mapping system. Parang kung familiar kayo yung sa Google Maps, di ba, may mga cars na may camera. So parang ginamit nila yung ganong klaseng technology na umiikot-ikot lang within the city sa Hong Kong para ma-capture nila kung ano yung mga state or parang anong nangyayari dun sa mga buildings. Kasi kung tao yon na naglalakad sa buong Hong Kong, hindi niya maka-capture yung situation. So now having that vehicle mobile mapping system, they were able to gather the information at nasa-survey nila yung conditions ng mga buildings within Hong Kong. And then sa Jakarta naman, they use the Citizen Relationship Management application. So, di ba sa Jakarta, maraming government agencies doon. So, nagkukos ng difficulty para ma-resolve yung mga complaints na nare-receive nila, hindi nila natatrack. So, nagiging challenging sa kanila. They tried to use this QLU to integrate yung parang reporting ng mga citizen system, pero medyo positive yung results pero short-lived. So anong ginawa ng Jakarta? So they still renewed yung ginawa nilang QLU, pero ni-replicate nila yon dun sa mga ibang government at kinonsolidate nila yung mga 14 citizen complaint channels throughout Jakarta. So may app na sila na ginagamit para na mag-gather ng mga complaints or parang mga concerns ng citizens or ng citizens within Jakarta. So yung report handling was within a maximum of 6 hours and submitted within a minimum of 7 days. Okay. Yeah. So meron naman mga examples dito ng local productivity initiatives like yung Baliwag Treasury Information and Management System. So I think marami na rin mga government o LGUs na nagde-digitize na nga ng kanilang mga mga ganito, mga treasury information, yung mga sa treasury, mga financial nila. So dati, manual yung data gathering, manual yung process, and it is prone to corruption. So also, dahil manual nga, yung pagkukuha ng database, medyo very tedious. So what did they do by having this Baliwag Treasury Information Management System? So na kapag digitize na sila at nagkaroon ng more parang easier handling of information, less manual paperwork, so less contacts. So therefore, yung pag-monitor din ng cash flow and efficient report generation, nagiging real-time na siya. Okay. Ito, example to yung sa DPWH, they were able to introduce ito. Actually, yearly nila to ina-upgrade Yung pag-introduce, nag-introduce sila ng downloadable forms through their website. Tapos, yung downloadable forms na yon, dineploy na nila para yung mga request, hindi lang mag-download ng forms. Yung request, pwede na rin siyang gawing online. Tapos, yung pag-i-implement, ginawa rin na lang online. Okay? Sa DOST, meron din naman yung DOST Project Management Information System. It's a web-based information system that contains all the information of DOST programs or project proposals, kung ano yung mga funded projects, so that the researchers can access it online. So it facilitates data collection, storage, analysis, and reporting para matrack at mamonitor nila yung performance ng mga programs and projects funded by DOST. So, meron din yung sa Municipal Government of Bayambang, Pangasinan, in-implement nila yung pagkaroon ng RFID sa mga tricycles. Dahil nga sa dami ng mga tricycles, tsaka vehicles converging sa isang access point, ginawa nila yung mga tricycles na parang nilagyan nila ng RFIDs para ma-monitor nila kung nasaan sila. So, natatag nila yung mga tricycles para ma-manage din nila kung saan yung parang choke points ng mga traffic within the area. Okay. Anyway, mahaba na to. So, last na ba to? Yung Cooperative Development Authority. So, they were able to fully automate yung submission ng required reports sa clients at na-facilitate nila yung faster processing ng mga CDAs. So, pati na lang yung Certificate of Compliance, binibigay lang sa mga cooperatives, inallow na nila yung online submissions. So, hindi na kailangan pumunta ng mga clients sila sa office nila dahil pwede na silang makareceive ng mga requirements through email. And lastly, yung sa Philippine Commission on Women, they were able to certify through ISO 9001:2015 yung kanilang different frontline services. Yung management support and core processes ng policy development, gender and development plan and budget and accomplishment report, and etc. So, because of having their processes certified to ISO, na-standardize nila yung kanilang mga processes and procedures. Sa Philippine Development Plan naman, nasa Chapter 14, yung pagkakaroon ng magiging to be having a public sector na parang towards being productive or parang increasing the productivity of the public sector. So yung vision talaga natin sa Chapter 14 ng Philippine Development Plan 2023-2028 is that the citizen participation will be inclusive, fair, and empowering, allowing Filipinos to transact conveniently with the government through digital technologies and maximize the benefits of an integrated and productive bureaucracy. So yun na yung direction na parang maging productive ang ating bureaucracy. And that public servants will be agile, resilient, and accountable, and that the citizens' trust will be maintained, and that the public servants will consistently perform at the highest level of inclusion, productivity, and integrity. Okay. In other chapters also of the PDP, nandoon din yung parang productivity. So sa Chapter 10, wherein we promote competition and improve regulatory efficiency, so the emphasis here is to have the adoption of internet or digital technologies to enhance productivity and promote competition. Okay. In other across chapters of the PDP, nandoon din yung need to be increasing productivity sa chapter 4, wherein increasing income earning ability of Filipinos by productivity as a result of effective and efficient employment process and better workforce support. Even dun sa modernizing ang agriculture and agribusiness. So the adoption and of modern production technologies responsive to the needs of primary producers shall be scaled up to reduce the threat of disease, increase sustainability, and yield and reduce the overall cost of operations. So marami po siya. All throughout the PDP, makikita nyo doon yung mga adapting of new technologies to increase productivity in all sectors. And yung pinakagusto po namin dito, dun sa chapter 14 again, yung sa outcome 3, so yung focus talaga is so that government functions, systems, and mechanisms will be rationalized and strengthened. So we here in DAP is mentioned to contribute to the strengthening of the implementation of productivity capability programs, among others, to raise the productivity performance of agencies. That's why we are here. We conduct these webinars. Please, abangan nyo po yung mga webinars na i-implement pa namin in the succeeding months. And also yung mga trainings na meron kami sa Center of Excellence on Public Sector Productivity that are all focused to improving the productivity of the public sector. Okay, so now I go to the end. I hope I was able to stimulate your interest why we need to improve the productivity of the public sector. My last slide will be this. Isa rin ito sa story ko rin na nakuha ko rin siya nung bago ako sa DAP. So parang sabi ko, anong ibig sabihin nito? So good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is rest. Your better is best. So ang ibig sabihin yan, para bang sa productivity, hindi natatapos. Parati siyang continuous improvement, di ba? So, don't stop dun lang sa good. Don't stop sa better. Your better should be the best. So, yun lang. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ochi, but we will not let you rest yet because we will answer the questions from our viewers. We currently have 450 plus viewers from Facebook and 320 plus viewers from YouTube. All right, please send in your questions. We will try to answer them now. All right, so for our first question, Ma'am Ochi, first is from Facebook. Can the public sector improve or increase productivity without incurring cost?
Okay. Cost, okay. Sa formula lang ng productivity, di ba? Output over input. So, kung wala kang additional cost, if you don't have additional cost, that already is a productivity, di ba? So, parang output over input. So, less cost. So, yes, you can improve productivity by not incurring cost or even by reducing cost. Pero yung concept na yon, it's just improving productivity by cost reduction. So, cost reduction is one way to improve productivity. Pero, meron din kasing sinasabi na kahit na hindi ka mag-digitize, kahit hindi ka parang hindi ka kailangan gumastos by just rearranging siguro or parang reviewing yung mga processes ninyo, by just doing some review, yun nga, yung na-mention kanina, eliminating waste. By just doing that itself will already lead to higher outputs or outcomes. So yes, I can say na pwede kang mag-improve ng productivity without incurring costs.
So pwede without incurring costs. All right, speaking of waste, we have a question from YouTube from Mr. Artemio Capelan Jr. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. This is very timely. I think this is a problem of most of our agencies. We tried to implement minimal use of paper and paperless operations. But the COA required us to produce hard copy on almost all transactions and should be kept for their post-audit activity. So I think his question is, paano ba natin maiwasan yung use of paper, ma'am?
Ang alam ko po, sana po may COA dito or ano yung si COA. Alam ko po, lalo na nung pandemic, meron in-issue si COA na memo circular with regards to having a digitized, yung parang pagdi-digitize ng ating mga documents. So, sometimes din po, yes, hindi ko naman po sinasabi na eliminate yung mga yun. So, yung mga transactions na COA-able, siguro po, kailangan pa rin natin yung mga ganon, yung mga hard copies. But those who are, yung mga transactions na hindi naman po kailangan ng COA or within our organization na lang yung pagsasubmit ko ng report sa aking superior or yung pagsasubmit ng mga requirements, baka pwede doon ma-eliminate na natin yung mga documents. Hindi na natin kailangan ng hard copy. Baka pwede nang gamitin na natin yung soft copy.
Right. Okay. For your next question from Anonymous, how do you approach productivity in a way that relates to Filipinos' experiences on the ground? So, depende daw sa Filipino approach of productivity.
Ano ba yung Filipino approach? Well, okay. Filipino din naman ako. Pero hindi ko kasi maintindihan yung question. But, ano bang
Filipino approach?
Siguro yung Filipino, respectful ang mga Pilipino. So, kung respectful ang mga Pilipino, the way you do operate, diba? So, parang respectful pa rin tayo. So, I don't think it has any effect in the way we
do work. Yes. All right. Okay. Another from SIM card. Okay. Ito na lang, ma'am. So, work from home. Another from YouTube. Would it be fair to consider work from home and remote work arrangements as alternative ways to improve productivity in the public sector and performance of government employees? Okay. So, work from home.
I think, sana rin, nandito si civil service. I think, yung work from home is already an alternative working arrangement that is allowed by the civil service. And there are, alam ko based on sa memo circular ng civil service, meron silang mga different kinds of alternative working arrangement. So, yes, I think yung work from home, kung gagawin natin output-based, so as long as you're able to produce yung output that is required from you, yeah, I think it's something that's feasible that can be done by government agencies. And I think inaalaw siya ng civil service.
For work from home. Yeah. All right, that's the answer for work from home. Okay, let's go to Facebook. We have another question from Anonymous. When we talk about productivity improvement, we often refer to cost cutting or time savings. But are there strategies that are more oriented towards growth? For example, targeted investments in human capital or retraining.
Okay, yun nga po. Sa Center of Excellence on Public Sector Productivity or even sa DAP, sa Productivity and Development Center, we have a lot of trainings or capability building parang interventions that you can avail na hindi na nakatarget sa human capital. So, meron po yung concept ng knowledge management. How are you able to maximize or use yung resource na knowledge. So that is one that you can use na technology para ma-improve yung productivity. So kung nakafocus lang tayo sa human capital. So meron din yung mga work processes, yeah, pero human capital din, yung parang meron din yung 5S, yung soft side ng 5S para sa mga employees naman. So meron mga tools and techniques on that, and you may want to visit the website or go to DAP.
Again, for more resources, you may visit the COE PSP website. Okay, another from Facebook, Mr. Reinhold Jack Abing. This is regarding the SIM card registration. According to a report by the Manila Bulletin dated February 26, there are still 133 million unregistered SIM cards in the Philippines. So as far as productivity is concerned, what do you think are the wastes in the process of SIM card registration and how these wastes can be solved?
Katakot naman yung tanong. I think the purpose of the SIM card registration is really for security. So, yeah, ako actually hindi ko pa nare-register yung SIM ko.
Okay.
Yeah. Pero yung nakikita ko doon na mga ways or processes, yung una, yung information, hindi ko nakukuha yung paano nga ba talaga. So I think the telco companies naman, they try to share it, diba? So there are a lot other things to improve. Also yung parang system sa telco rin yun eh, kung madaming mga tao na nag-access ng server nila, I think this happened during the time na inopen siya, di ba? So that's one ways na parang hindi nakayanan ng server, so nagkaroon ng waiting time yung mga tao sa pagre-register. So, but now I think they were able to ease it up, so pwede nang mag-register ng SIM card.
I think napansin ko nga yan, mas mabilis na ngayon compared to their launch. Okay, from Mr. Raymond Velasco, watching from YouTube, what is your insight, ma'am, regarding naman tong training? Regarding training, hindi naman gumagaling. Is it good to only allocate training for core people?
Okay. Medyo hindi naman po ako talaga HR, pero ang napapansin ko po, bakit yung mga people that we send to training is not able to absorb yung mga training nila, di ba? So training na gumagaling. Ang dami ng training in attendance, wala pa rin. So there may be a hidden reason why baka hindi sila fit dun sa training na yon, or iba yung requirement nila. But then I still think that people still need training. Kasi pag hindi mo po sila train, hindi nila alam kung parang they will not be able to perform well. So, it's just, ang need lang po talaga is i-analyze or review yung mga core competencies ng employees, saan sila kulang, ano yung mga appropriate training na kailangan. Baka naman napadala sila sa isang training na hindi pa sila ready dun sa kind ng training na yon. Baka masyadong advanced pa, so dapat ipadala mo muna sila sa medyo hindi advanced. Sa basic muna siya umattend bago mapadalin sa advanced. Pero I think naman everybody is trainable and kailangan talaga para naman din ma-improve din sa organization din yun magiging beneficial.
Alright, okay. I think we're receiving a lot of questions. Thank you very much for sending your questions, but we'll try to answer like last two questions because of limited time. So for our next question from Ms. Rosalinda Palo Tutor, watching from Facebook, what role do leadership and culture play in driving productivity in the public sector? And how can organizations foster a culture of productivity and continuous improvement?
Okay. Malaki po ang role ng leadership. Okay. Sa lahat naman po, 'di ba, sa isang organization, malaki talaga yung role ng leadership because they're the ones who steers or gives direction to an organization. So the role of a leader or the leadership or the management has a big role in improving productivity of the organization. But at the same time, malaki rin yung role ng sa baba. So it's like bottom top down and at the same time bottom up. So may balance po 'yun. Pero kung meron paano ma-foster yung culture na 'yon, it's the leadership who steers and then they make things to make it palatable to the rank and file, and then the rank and file, they need to be always encouraged, they need to be always be given information so that they would be, kasi iba gano'n naman sa nature natin, parang what's in it for me? Bakit ko itataya yung time ko para dyan sa productivity na yan? But I think those things can be addressed by information, proper communication. Basta open po yung communication from the top to the bottom and bottom to the top, then it will be able to cultivate the culture of productivity.
So leadership is very crucial to foster a culture of productivity. Okay, last question from Facebook from Mr. Argel Joven Sanita. Ito ma'am, why is it difficult, lagi natin ito na pag-uusapan, why is it difficult to measure performance in the public sector?
Okay. It's difficult to measure if you do not know where you are. Kailangan po talaga ang measurement sa productivity at saka sa performance improvement. Kailangan po talaga ng measure indicator. Kasi paano ka makakapag-implement ng productivity improvement? How can you also think of strategies to improve your performance if you do not know nasaan ka? Kasi first, you need to know where you are, and you need to know where you're going to. So, yon, importante po yung measurement. Now, why is it difficult? Sometimes because hindi available yung data.
Yes.
Diba? So, if the data is not available, then you don't have anything or information to tell you where you are. So, very important po yung pag-gather or pag-keep ng data, relevant data, hindi lang basta kahit na anong data kasi time-consuming din yun na para bang ang dami-dami mong data, hindi naman pala yun yung data na kailangan mo. So you just need, masasabi ko lang po is you can just start with what is a few important information or data that you can collect easily and then start from there. And then later on, pag nag-implement na kayo ng productivity improvement, you can make it more sophisticated kind of measuring performance and productivity.
So for measurement, you start with the data that you have. All right, for our last question for today, ipag-connect ko lang, I think these are very similar questions, but from Ms. Rosella Angelica Gorospe, watching from YouTube, how do you encourage productivity in your workplace, especially those who do not much embrace this concept?
Okay. Paano nga ba? Actually, siguro just be able to, communication is there. So it's always, you need to always promote, you need to always encourage. Pero yung mga hindi nag-embrace ng productivity, if you tell them the benefits, if you tell them what's in it, yun nga, yung concept na what's in it for them. So yung pinakita ko kanina, yung importance of productivity, yun, if maintindihan nila na improving productivity leads to better quality of life, then who will not be encouraged to participate or join productivity, di ba? Kung it's going to benefit you, me, everybody happy.
Yes, all right. So remember again, you never rest until you're the best from Ochi. Okay, thank you very much for the excellent and comprehensive presentation, Ma'am Ochi. Some of the points we can highlight from her presentation are the examples of and how we can we may be able to resolve the downtime or aid productivity wastes, and of course, the local and global productivity initiatives that she shared earlier that we can either replicate or get inspiration from. All right. To further our discussion, dyan lang po kayo. We still have some questions to ask you. So to further the discussion on raising productivity in the public sector, it's highly important that we first identify the productivity concerns. So at this point, we will maybe please ask you to go to menti.com and enter the following code, 3398680. Again, please go to menti.com with the code 3398680 and answer this question. What are the productivity problems or concerns present in your organization that may affect the quality of your service delivery? So please go to menti.com, use code 3398680 to answer the question that your organizations are currently facing, the productivity problems and concerns. We will give you at least around 2 minutes to answer the question. In your cell phones if you're not using your laptops. So just go to menti.com and enter the code 3398680. I can see that we have 20 plus or 25 plus participants who are now accessing the Mentimeter. First idea that comes to your mind, that's okay. So the productivity problems or concerns that your organizations are currently facing or that are affecting your service delivery. All right. We are actually receiving some of the answers. First, we have too many meetings. There are a lot of meetings. Any other productivity problems, common productivity problems and concerns that we usually encounter during our everyday work life? Just go to menti.com and use code 3398680. All right. We're there. I can see filing of documented records, understaffed, bad leadership, mismanagement, tardiness. Yes. Okay. Wastage of resources, as Miss Ochi discussed earlier. Also, limited personnel, system problems in accounting unit. There are a lot of people in the Menti room. We have 200 plus. Thank you very much for your questions. We are actually receiving it now. We have lack of proper communication and coordination among various departments. Yes, that's very common. The fear of going out of the box or a new process because of change, redundancy of tasks, yes, overlapping schedules of activities, naulit na naman ng frequent and inefficient meetings, yes, as of course time waste, and then frequent changes of personnel assigned to a specific task. Marami din about the lack of personnel. We have productivity, orientation, and appreciation in all levels of the organization. So different productivity appreciation. All right. Okay. So yes, please keep them coming. And thank you very much for answering. So we've discussed that. So now that we've understood how productivity works and because of Ms. Ochi's presentation, and we have initially identified common concerns and issues in the public sector, such as what you've written in the Mentimeter. The next part of our program will allow you to contribute to the productivity initiatives. At this point, please watch this video. As the public sector, we can do so much better, but often we are hindered by challenges and wastes on how we do our work in the public sector and deliver service to the public. We may see practices like non-conformance to standards, overproduction of outputs, delays and redundant operations, among many others. Government services should be designed for the people. The Philippine public sector needs to be productive and showcase bureaucratic efficiency. That's why we are launching the Productivity Challenge, an initiative of the Development Academy of the Philippines through the Center of Excellence on Public Sector Productivity, or COE-PSP, to raise productivity and foster innovation in the public sector. This is the productivity movement we're all waiting for. We invite you to rise to the challenge. Let's work together in elevating public service. Are you up to the challenge? At this juncture, may we call on our next speaker to introduce the much-awaited Productivity Challenge. He is currently the Program Manager of COE-PSP. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all give a warm welcome to Mr. Peter Dan Baon.
Thank you, Tessa. A Philippine government whose image among the public is a model of good governance and bureaucratic efficiency as envisioned in the Philippine Development Plan 2023-2028. As we all know, the public sector plays a critical role in serving the needs of our communities and in achieving a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient society. However, we also recognize that there are challenges and opportunities for improvement in the way we deliver public services from healthcare, education, to transportation and infrastructure. The Development Academy of the Philippines, as the country's national productivity organization, recognizes and advocates the importance of raising government productivity to improve its efficiency and effectiveness in delivering better and quality services. To support this, the Academy, through its Center of Excellence, proudly launches the Productivity Challenge. To support the government's effort in raising the productivity performance of government agencies in the country. Its goal is to advance the productivity movement in the public sector by raising awareness and enabling a culture of innovation to improve productivity performance and quality service delivery. A multi-year project from 2023 to 2026 that intends to foster awareness and boost the productivity and innovativeness of public sector organizations in the Philippines. The Productivity Challenge serves as a nudge to accelerate the much-needed productivity change in the Philippine government. To achieve this, the project sets annual targets that will be posed as a challenge for the Philippine government agencies to be collectively achieved. For 2026, it's money-wise, 1 billion pesos saved. For 2025, paperless, 1 million sheets of paper saved. 2024, fast break, 100,000 transaction hours reduced. And to jumpstart this initiative, the first challenge this year is entitled 2023 Productivity Spark, 1,000 Ideas for Productivity. It is designed to provide an open space and generate innovative ideas to improve productivity in public service delivery, government processes, and operations. Individuals and groups from public sector organizations will be enjoined to suggest or reinvent in areas where productivity is much needed. So, how can you join the Productivity Challenge? Participants must register and submit their entries through the link provided in your screen and in the chat box. Make sure that the information and requirements for each entry include title of the idea, brief description of the productivity problem you are trying to address, solution to improve productivity, expected benefits from the solution, any illustration that would support your solution, and a 60-second video pitch describing the idea. The video must address productivity issues and demonstrate the innovative idea that would answer to the following SPARK questions. How might government offices produce more with less? How might waste in government operations be reduced? How might government employees do things right the first time? And how might government offices inspire public trust and confidence? All submitted entries will be posted in the COE-PSB Facebook page, YouTube channel, and the productivity website within 2 weeks after receipt. Interested individuals and groups may submit multiple entries. We will be accepting entries beginning tomorrow, March 1, 2023. Individuals and groups whose entries meet the criteria will receive certificates and tokens from the Academy and will be featured in our online and social media platform. Are you up to the challenge? The problems and public demands we face in the public sector are significant, and it will take all of us working together to create the change we want to see. By working together, we can make the Philippine government as a model of good governance and bureaucratic efficiency a reality. Let's continue to challenge ourselves and our organizations to be better and to stay focused on the needs of the people we serve. Join us as we work together to elevate public services and raise productivity of government agencies. Let's get started.
Yes, Sir Peter, it's time to spark your ideas. Let's be part of this challenge. For updates, queries, and information about the challenge, kindly visit us at productivity.dap.edu.ph and our Facebook page, APO/COE PSP. Please feel free to share this challenge to your colleagues and friends. That's all the time we have for the webinar and the introduction of the Productivity Challenge. Our sincere appreciation to our resource person, Ma'am Ochi and Sir Peter, for the Productivity Challenge launch. We hope you're as excited to join us as we begin this journey. Thank you very much for spending your afternoon with us and have a productive week. As the public sector, we can do so much better, but often we are hindered by challenges and wastes on how we do our work in the public sector and deliver service to the public. We may see practices like non-conformance to standards, overproduction of outputs, delays and redundant operations, among many others. Government services should be designed for the people. The Philippine public sector needs to be productive and showcase bureaucratic efficiency. That's why we are launching the Productivity Challenge, an initiative of the Development Academy of the Philippines through the Center of Excellence on Public Sector Productivity, or COE-PSP, to raise productivity and foster innovation in the public sector. This is the productivity movement we're all waiting for. We invite you to rise to the challenge. Let's work together in elevating public service. Are you up to the challenge?